follow me, please tell me how old you think I am. Please be honest, because a lot of things have been happening recently where I'm starting to think, what do I need to do so that something's wrong? 2 weeks ago, I went to the salon and I sat in the chair and the lady was super nice. And I had my mask on, but she was looking at me and she was like, how old are you? You're like 12, right? No, you're just off like by an entire Friends series. But I'm just like, what a fluke, that lady was way off. But then I take my adoptive siblings to school, all in elementary school. But while I'm taking them up to the gate, the guy on the crosswalk is like, have a great day at school, to me. Oh my God, I'm just now realizing. That's not good. I didn't even have a backpack. And then last week, me and my mom go to a new doctor. She's talking to him and I'm sitting there on my phone. He's looking at me, he's like, oh, it's so great to meet your daughter. What is she in, like 7th grade? I graduate in May with my bachelor's. You guys, please let me know if I'm at fault here or if my teacher is at fault. Because looking back, I don't know how to feel. Okay, when I was in middle school, we had this class called technology, but it was technology mixed with workshop. So we were designing things on computers, but we were also building birdhouses and race cars. Now, all of us in the room were 12 and 13 years old. And the safety measures we were given was sanitized goggles and I believe aprons. We were working with jigsaws, regular saws, lasers, hammers, nails, power saw, all of it. And it's impossible for my teacher to be looking at all of us at once. So she would teach us how to use everything carefully. The job was simple. Grab a piece of wood, do your measurements, and then use the jigsaw to cut out your piece. And be careful. Everybody's working on different things. I was using the jigsaw. I was done using it. A kid comes up to me and asks me for help on his. He goes, hey, can you please help me? And I'm like, yeah. So I show him how to use it, show him exactly how I did mine, and then I go back to my table. After a couple of minutes, my teacher starts shouting, saying, no, 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 don't touch that. I turn around and the kid is pointing at me and the teacher runs up to me and starts scolding me in front of the entire class, saying, how dare you leave? Please let me know if I'm at fault here or if my teacher's at fault here. Part 2. The kid points at me and my teacher runs up and starts scolding me in front of the entire class. She starts saying, how dare you leave him by himself? And I'm so confused. She points at him and she's like, he can't be left alone. You have to watch him. How can you leave him alone? Again, super confused. Because this kid is bigger than me, taller than me, the same age as me. It didn't click for me at the time why I needed to watch this kid who I didn't know at all and who was just like a regular kid just like me. So I just kind of stood there with my mouth open like, I didn't know that I needed to. The teacher says, he doesn't know what he's doing. You can't just leave him by himself. Looking back and remembering a few things about that kid, it's possible that he was part of the autism community. Again, this was never told to me. This is just me looking back and thinking it through. He probably did need more help. As a 12-year-old, I didn't know that, nor did I understand or comprehend that. I understand my teacher's frustration to a point, but I also see that it's not my responsibility to have to watch another student. It's 4th of July! And with that, I thought I'd tell you guys the story of how I discovered something about myself. That I look Latina? This is kind of weird. So many 4th of Julys ago, I was at my high school at this Freedom Festival thing. They were doing a fireworks show. And I went to go get myself like a soda or something from a concession stand. I might have been like 10 at this time. On my way back to my parents, I was stopped. Someone from the staff from a different concession stand shouted at me, hey, you speak Spanish, right? And I was like, yeah, I do. She's like, great, can you come over here and translate for us? There was a man apparently, and he was trying to like order something from the menu and couldn't do it. So they asked for my help. They didn't know who I was, I didn't know who they were, and I went and assisted. It was in this moment that I realized you can tell what language someone speaks by just looking at them. Guys, I promise I'm not making this up. I just had no idea you could do that. I don't know if this just like, if everyone just knows this, but that happened to me. And I remember the moment I realized that. I was like, how on earth did she know that I spoke Spanish? I don't know, maybe I was just dumb. But it reminded me of a different time when I was watching The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody with my brother. And he forgot London's name. And he was like, hey, what's the name of that Chinese girl? And I was like, what Chinese girl? Like, who's Chinese on this show? And he's like, her, that girl. And I was like, oh, that's London. And I was like, London's Chinese? I was like, wait a minute. What the? Oh my gosh, you can tell she's Chinese just by looking at her? Guys, I swear, I swear! How did I not realize these things? I was just like, no, she's just London. She's just London. Unless someone actually spoke Spanish in front of me, or unless someone actually spoke Chinese in front of me, I just assumed we were all just American. I don't know! I was a dumb kid. Don't come for me.
My dad married Jess when I was 11. I'm 16 now. Dad had me and my brothers who are 13 and 11. Jess had a son who is 14 and a daughter who is 11. My mom died 7 years ago, and Jess's first husband died a few years before. We did some family therapy when they got engaged for about 6 weeks, and everything was fine, so things moved ahead. Around a year ago, during the lockdown really, my dad started to become concerned that I was closer to my brothers and was still using the step when talking about my step-siblings. He and Jess talked and they decided family therapy would be good for everyone. They saved and waitlisted for a blended family therapist, and we got in 5 weeks ago. 2 sessions in and I was honest about my feelings. That I didn't consider my step-siblings just siblings, that I wasn't as close to them as my brothers, and that I had always felt that way but never wanted to be the voice of dissent who was not happy about Dad and Jess marrying, so I stayed quiet, because I had no complaints about any of them. They all deserved to be happy, I was just not on board the way everyone else was. The therapist asked the question she started our very first session off with, which was why were we there, and they said for the very reason of what I said. And then it went off. Jess asked what was wrong with her kids. My dad said I should have spoken up sooner to get therapy quicker. I asked why. I told him what I said wasn't me saying I wanted him to stay miserable and alone, and I am entitled to my feelings, and was even at 11. He accused me of manipulating them with my words to seem like what I was doing was okay and wasn't hurting anyone when it was, because my step-siblings love me and can feel that I don't return that love. The therapist said while everyone was entitled to their feelings, what I said wasn't manipulative. It's been chaotic ever since that session. My step-siblings have admitted they are hurt I don't love them, and they always felt weird about me. They never knew why I didn't want them the same. It was also brought up that Jess feels like her kids have been negatively impacted by the oldest sibling not showing the same love and care for them. My dad said he doesn't understand me, but has continued to bring up that he feels like my words were manipulative when I opened up. Jess has agreed with him the whole way. It's making me wonder if they're right.
If you ever feel lonely, don't do what he did. Skylar was living in an old house in the countryside with his parents when he found a mirror in the closet. But when he looked into the mirror, he saw a girl standing behind him. She said her name was Nana and you can only see her through the mirror. One day Nana said, "Come over here and play with me." And Skylar promised he would, but he never did. He graduated, moved out, and got married. But one day, years later, something changed. As fate would have it, Skylar came back to the house. And as an adult, Skylar convinced himself that Nana was just his imaginary friend, but he was wrong. Him and his pregnant wife went to his parents' house for a visit and decided to look at some of his old stuff. That's when Skylar found the mirror again. Instantly, he remembered Nana, and through the mirror in the very back, a dark shadow began to form the face of Nana. She began walking towards Skylar through the mirror and said, "Why didn't you come back? I've been waiting for you." Skylar didn't know what to say. He was shocked. Then Nana said, "Come over here, let's play forever." Skylar said, "No, I have a wife now and a baby soon. I can't." Nana looked upset. She paused for a while before saying, "I see, you're all grown up now. If you don't want to play with me, I'll have to find someone else. Someone just like you." And suddenly, Nana disappeared. Skylar went on with his day, but that evening, his wife had some terrible news. She had suffered a miscarriage. Then Skylar finally understood what Nana meant by someone just like you.